Naguib,
Thank you, ma.
alhamdulillah. I'm so happy to see you.
Thank you very much. I want to say that I'm honored to be here tonight. You guys lift my morale because I feel like the future is going to be bright when young people like you with these magnificent ideas are going to rule, hopefully one day. And also the setup, I'm like startled by the setup. And just had to say that from the beginning. The last thing, I'm sorry I'm dressed in a suit and a tie, but
Naguib, we're at the pyramids, and the theme for this year's RiseUp Summit is timeless innovation. And you have always been an innovator. How do you think about the best way for Egypt to innovate, and especially with all the young talent and entrepreneurs today?
So innovation requires total freedom. I mean, the first ingredient of innovation is we have to set up, we have to give our youth the opportunity to think outside of the box, to come up with crazy ideas, not to judge them on the idea as it starts. I remember many times when I was starting, you remember too, everyone said, no, this is crazy. Pakistan, you're going to go to Pakistan? You know, who's going to use a mobile in Pakistan? Remember all these stories? Yeah. So the first thing is that you need this space, you know, and that's, I mean, if you compare, for example, the United States and Europe in innovation, the United States is far ahead because Europe is classic. They still have their old ways of doing things, and the US is like open-ended. You can just dream and do and go and do what you want, you know.
There are so many entrepreneurs here tonight, and they're thinking about either quitting their day jobs to do a new startup or are looking for investors to help them start up in an industry. What advice would you give them today to put their energy and time into the country, and which industries?
First advice, there's always a certain optimal moment to quit your job because you need your job to survive, to get some experience. I mean, don't think that you just graduated and you're going to go and conquer the world. I mean, this a minimum of an experience you need. Is it 1 year or 3 years? But there is a minimum. So when you work in any corporate, you start to learn how corporates are run, HR, all these things. So this is the first thing. Secondly, don't start a startup that someone else has already started and is ahead of you with miles and miles and miles. So before you go and invest, you put your time, check first, is this application available in other forms? You know, I used to have, I was sitting on many boards and people would come with their ideas and like that, and we attend, but there is this and there is that. Oh, but we are going to do something different, we're going to do something better. I mean, the best idea is the idea that nobody else has. Because then you're alone, you can go and you don't have to go through a big row of, and it's getting much more difficult nowadays to find a new idea. You know, I mean, so that's the second advice, yeah.
Thinking about the future and innovation, you're very much invested in the media industry and IP, like when people want to create content or movies, film, music. What do you think the future of IP and media is going to look like? And what are you excited about or worried about?
I think there has been, you know, I'm still, I'm from the old generation. We had a cassette and we had a CD and all this vanished and we have to download music now. I don't know what crazier where else can it go? I mean, now if you have to hear music, you download, you have Apple Music, you have all the music on YouTube, you have everything. You can do your own music electronically with computer programs. I mean, even me, because my hobby is DJing, now I don't need to mix myself. You know, there are software programs, I put my music, I put them in the order I want, and the software does it. Not as good as me if I was doing it manual, but still. Yeah.
Last time Naguib was here in 2017, I asked him what he wants to do when he retires, and he said he wants to be a DJ.
I'm already a DJ now.
So what do you think about, I know you're a big investor in gold, and you're a big investor in precious metals, and there's alternative investing that's happening. We are sitting here today on the Capitol stage, and a lot of people are thinking about NFTs, thinking about alternative investing. What's your point of view on that?
I think, I mean, if you're talking technology, the blockchain technology is here to stay. whether I would invest in Bitcoins or not, I'm not.
Yeah.
And for the reason I'm a classical guy, and there has been a lot of risks associated with the Bitcoins, you know, hacking, guys taking the money and fleeing away. This has happened more than one time, you know. Then also when you invest in something that goes up 20% and goes down 20% in one day,
Yep.
it's a big of a volatile adventure, you know. So I think this is going to, blockchain is here to stay, Bitcoins are here to stay, they will stay. The only thing I'm seeing is they will be regulated. Yeah. And once they're regulated, you won't see these ups and downs, you know, but you might not also see this kind of fury on it, you know. But the technology itself is here to stay, and it's amazing, it's progressing every day. You know?
Yeah, I think blockchain technology is going to revolutionize everything that we do. From how we buy real estate to how we buy digital assets and how we authenticate.
Yeah, if
things.
you put also artificial intelligence on top of that, then all these kids here will become like God. They will be creators. They will be creating stuff that nobody can control, you know. So, and stuff that might be smarter than the inventor himself. You know?
Does things like artificial intelligence inspire you, scare you?
No,
what do you
me.
think?
No, they scare me because every time we find an innovation, we don't took into consideration what about the evil people? What about terrorists using artificial intelligence? You know, so this is something we need to, you know, before you open the box, the Pandora's box, you need to be protected. You know, how are you going to deal with that? Unfortunately, technology can be used by the good guys, can also be used by the bad guys. So I don't think there is much being done to protect against the misuse. You know, it's like the software, this Israeli software, Pegasus.
Yep.
They're selling it to people so they can inject it in your phones and interfere in your privacy, you know. So, and they've been doing it for many years. You know. I'm very happy that the U.S. slammed them with $500 million penalty now.
I asked a lot of people on Twitter and on Instagram before I was coming on stage today, what should I ask you? And one of the questions came about investing in real estate. And what is your opinion in investing in real estate versus like someone you had met in 2015, you said, if I were you, I'd invest in an apartment and get recurring income. So many people here are young and don't have money to invest. Where should they think about, as we think about we're on the capital stage again, where should young people be thinking about investing their future?
So it depends if they want to stay bachelors forever or they want to get married. So if they're planning to get married, I think they should invest in an apartment.
Okay.
And fortunately enough, in Egypt here, the apartments, the price of real estate escalates all the time. So you're bound to make money. When we are now entering into this inflationary, and the inflation is going to be coming, and it's going to coming with a big speed. So also real estate is a protective. But the nicest investment is an investment that you can enjoy. So remember also, when you buy your apartment, you're going to enjoy your apartment. So better put the money in the apartment you're going to enjoy. When you go to get married, the first question the father of your bride will ask you, do you have an apartment? So if you say no, your odds are slimmer. So I would think real estate should be part of the portfolio of anybody.
Naguib, a lot of people that are here and on Twitter, because I see them text you and tweet at you, they want to pitch you an idea. They want to pitch you a business that they have or an investment. What do you look for when looking at an investment or a startup company, and what do they need to be aware of when pitching to you?
Well, I am semi-retired now, so I think what I'm doing now is very simple. I refer them to Onsi, my son, because he's the master of this. You know, he has a private equity fund in New York, and they're doing very well. So they're big, and they have like 20, 30 people who are experts now. So I always hand him over the email. Sometimes I get my email back. This is a silly story, but don't send me this crap. But I think personally I'm more on the stage of retirement now. So I want to spend more time enjoying my life, taking care of my kids, because I missed them a bit when they were growing up. I was working like a donkey.
Speaking of kids, I met your daughter in New York a week or two ago.
Which one of the three?
The one that works at Kith. Anyways, I want to talk to you about your kids and your son in your footsteps and working, and what's that like as a parent, as a father, seeing them grow up and go into business?
I mean, there's nothing more than the pride you have when you see that your son is doing on his own very well, that he's like you wanted him to be, intelligent, hardworking, honest. He keeps the reputation. You know, I named my son after my dad to preserve thank you, preserve the family name and so on. So you feel with pride, you know, and even the girls are all hardworking. They're my eldest daughter, as you know, she reports to Keith directly, and in less than 4 years, she's like the number 2 in the company.
He said he was
26 years old.
Yeah, I met Ronnie.
Yeah.
In New York, and he said that she's his number 2.
Wow.
Yeah, he said that she's my number 2, and when we FaceTimed her immediately, so I wanted to tell you that story. He said he met you, but over FaceTime or briefly. Yeah.
No, you feel pride. You feel that you did your part. Also, my wife did have most of the part. I take credit, and she did the work, and I take the credit.
What are you obsessed with?
Parties, enjoying life, but I'm also obsessed with the righteousness. I hate unfairness. I hate when someone is cruel or when someone is ظالم يعني ظالم.
ظالم يعني he's blaming or not giving credit or
لا يعني he's cruel, like he's
denying their person their righteousness.
Evil.
Yeah.
Evil, right?
Oppressive.
Yes, I hate oppression. I hate people who are mean, or people who think they're strong so they can beat down the weak, you know. I mean, I'm the kind of guy that someone is beating a young kid in the street, I will stop the car and I'll go see why the hell is he beating him.
Yeah.
See, that is boils me up, yani. So I'm obsessed with righteousness. I hate injustice, you know, and I get moved very quickly when it happens.
So one of the things about COVID and the pandemic is it really taught people to pivot and to do innovative things. What were some of the things that you saw that actually ended up helping create new industries or new businesses that you think are going to stay?
First of all, I think the way we treated COVID from the beginning was wrong. You see, if you saw my first tweets.
I did.
Yeah, I said, this is something, it's not going to go away. We can't close down the businesses, close our lives, and think this is the way we're going to treat a disease. So the disease is there, it's going to stay. We need to see how can we continue with our life along with the disease being there, you know. Turns out after 2 years, I was right from the beginning, because all these lockdowns, all the stuff they did, whether in Australia or in London, or it just didn't do nothing. And now it's coming back the same way. So it never ends. So this lockup is not a solution. The solution is the vaccination. So we need to get rid of all these false things that tells you don't take the vaccine. It's going to change your DNA. It's going to change your genes and all this. I took the 3 shots already. And nothing happened to me. And all my friends did, you know. So that's a solution. Because it's scientific, you know.
Yep.
But all these lockdowns and all that. And that's to your second question. This COVID was not bad news for all the Amazons, the Zoom and Teams and all these people. So during the COVID, they skyrocketed, all of them. And then we discovered something very nice for many people is actually we don't need to go to the office.
Yeah.
It's not good for me for my real estate because of my office space most probably will not rent that easily. But it's also nice. It brought the families together. You sit at home. You have your kids around you. You're still working, and you save the pollution of the cars because there is no more transportation cost. And guess what? Efficiency didn't fall down through working from home or through Zoom or Teams. You know, we all with the time you get used to it. You know, so. The only thing is because I'm a social person, I believe that the human interaction
is so important.
Yeah, I cannot get into a business deal with someone I'm seeing over the screen.
Yeah.
Because there is the body language, there is the chemistry, and there is all that. That is necessary. But
the connection, the relationship.
I think this is important, yeah.
What do you think the future of work will be like? Do you think people are like really want to go back to work because they're sick of sitting at home? Do you think it's going to be a combination?
I think everybody will do what he likes. I think companies will give the optionality to, depends on which job you do. I mean, if you're cleaning the office, you can sit at home, you know, if you're, you know, but everything else can be done. So I think they will give the optionality to people, and they could make a meeting every 1 week, you know, just to sit in one room all together and decide, you know. Of course, me, I prefer the physical contact. I'm not someone who likes to work from home. And then also for all these married couples, if everybody's working from home, the marriage won't last for long.
So one of the things about COVID and working from home is it sort of levels the playing field, right? Because I don't have to worry about being employed in Egypt. I can get a job in London or in Dubai or in the States because I can do it remotely. So it's kind of changed competitiveness, or employers need to think more about give good benefits to employees so that they stay, because now they're not competing with someone in Egypt. I'm competing with somebody in London who wants that same job.
Yeah, but remember, you have the time difference. I remember when I brought my girls during COVID here, it was a nightmare because they have to do their classes, so they wake up at different times and sleep at different times. So it's not that easy. I mean, there's the time difference and all that. You know.
One of the other questions that I got had to do with marketing and digital media and social marketing. So Naguib, you're very active on Twitter. Are you on TikTok?
No. Wala TikTok, wala Instagram.
I was going to ask you TikTok or Instagram, but you're on neither.
No, it's I like my privacy. I mean, already when the pictures go around like that when I'm in a party, it's an intrusion on my privacy, and then I get all these nasty comments, you know. But
how do you deal with the negative comments?
I'm solid rock.
What does that mean?
Means that
you don't care.
I brush it off.
You brush it off.
It's been my story of my life, you know. Nothing gets me down.
Yeah. And you're just going to be on Twitter. That's going to be your main platform.
Yes, sir, ma'am.
So did you travel this year?
Oh, a lot, yes.
Where's your favorite place to travel to?
Grenada. It's an island in the Caribbean.
Yes, I know.
3 hours from Miami and 4 hours from New York.
And
Dubai now. I used to...
used to never go to Dubai.
Yeah, I used to didn't like Dubai at all, but now I like Dubai a lot, you know, because they've advanced a lot. There is you feel it's free. You feel freedom there. They have all the restaurants, all the best restaurants of the world now are in Dubai, or the hotels are perfect. The only thing, the beach is not so
great.
So great, but everything else is great, you know.
So Naguib, where do you learn from? Like, do you listen to podcasts? Do you read books? Do you like just follow certain people? Like, where do you get stimulus from the outside world?
I think I used to get it from my work. You know, when you work, I used to work 16 hours a day.
It's true.
So you immense a lot of experience from your own work. Of course, I read a lot, but mostly I read political books and history books. And I read other books too, you know, so from reading too, books, you know. And now from the internet, you know, you can read about anything. And I watch the news. I'm still very old-fashioned. I read the newspaper in the morning. I watch CNN, CNBC. So all this, I watch movies. I watch 2 movies.
I was just going to say, Naguib is a very well-known movie buff. He knows every Godfather, every single movie about everything. So let's do a few minutes on movies, and then we'll let you go. And we'll take some questions from the crowd. Favorite movie?
The Godfather still.
Favorite actor?
Robert De Niro.
Movie that's most underrated?
Most underrated? What do you mean underrated? It's a good movie.
It's a good movie, but no one knows that it's that good.
Oh, that's a difficult one. I don't have it now.
You don't have an answer on that one? TV show. Are you watching any TV shows? Any serials?
I saw the series. I saw the series. This Korean series,
Squid Game.
Squid Games, and this was an amazing.
How many of you guys have seen Squid Game? Okay, everyone loves it.
I started the first series at 11 o'clock. I would never watch series because I like to live. I like a movie because I live into the movie, and it ends in an hour and a half. A series, you have to start where you stopped. So what happened? I was interviewed by Bloomberg, so the presenter told me about this. I went home at 11 o'clock at night. I watched the first series. I had to leave the next day, 8 o'clock to Abu Dhabi. So I watched all the series through the whole night till my plane time, and I was worried that the last one would not finish before I reached the plane. 6 hours, no sleep.
You binged it in one night?
Yeah.
When's the last time you did that? Never.
It's the first, and I hope the last.
Favorite musician?
Favorite musician? Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran, good one. I like that. Did you listen to Adele's new album? Not really?
I prefer.
Come on, Nikki.
I prefer Dua Lipa.
Dua Lipa, she's more fun. All right, can we take a couple questions from the crowd? Do we have a mic to take a couple questions for Naguib? They're going to get you guys a mic. We can take a couple questions for Naguib.
This is such a refreshing event. And
we're so happy to see you. Let's hear it for Naguib Sawiris. You know, last time I interviewed him, he came out, he said, you know what, this is my crowd. These are the kind of people I like to hang out with. And it's still true, right, Naguib?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, let's get some questions Who has a hand up? We have a mic over here. We have a question back there.
Hi, Maha, Mr. Naguib. It's such an honor to speak to you both. Mr. Naguib, when you were, younger in the early days of before you started your business, what kept you going when motivation was down?
That's a good one.
I think, the one thing I learned from my dad is never take no for an answer. So whenever you meet an obstacle, you need just to fight it down and fight it and keep on hammering on it and like that. So he was not a quitter, so I got this from him. What kept me going is, but don't take it as arrogance or egocentric or like that. But it's I believe in myself to the extent that I believe I can do anything. So that keeps me going always, because I have the feeling that I'm gonna do it. I can't explain it, but I know that I will achieve what I want. So if there's obstacles like that, it keeps me going. The self-confidence, I would call it self-confidence, and it's combined with my belief in God, because I have my own religious philosophy. So it says very simply like that: if you believe in God that strongly, He will lend you His powers, because you're part of Him. So He'll say, okay, you believe in me, so you have His powers. So if you have God's powers, who can be against you?
Good one. Naguib and I spent a lot of time. Naguib built almost every single mobile network in Africa, and we would go into these really hard countries, Congo, Brazzaville, Chad. Why are we going to Africa? Why are we going to work in these countries? And Naguib really wanted to change the economy and change the way that people live. And people didn't have cell phones, and you gave them cell phones.
They didn't have phones.
They didn't have phones. But this question about, hardship, and we got told no a lot. What was it like in those early days trying to, you were going to do something that no one ever did before?
I think, it was funny. I had 2-3 years, when I started this Orascom Telecom, I had 2-3 guys with me, and I was telling them my vision and what we will do. And the three of them, one Lebanese, one French, and one Egyptian, they had good jobs with high salaries. And so I was trying to convince them to quit and come with me, because I want to build this company that's going to have all the mobile licenses all over Africa, and then we'll go somewhere else. And I thought when I'm doing my presentation, they will think I'm crazy and this is ridiculous. I'm not going to leave my job. And in half an hour, and after my discussion with them and presentation, they all left the jobs and came with me, and we started that and it was funny. I remember when we flew the first flight, we went to Congo, Brazzaville, then we went to Chad, and we came back with 2 licenses in one day.
It was crazy.
And the license in Chad, we had to look for someone in Chad that has a typewriter, to write down the license. The Ministry of Telecom, they had sheep and grass, and the Ministry of Telecom was the minister and a secretary, and then he didn't have a typewriter to type the license. We had to go downtown, find someone to write the...
One day we're going to tell those stories. We got to Congo, and they didn't have fuel, so when we got there, we couldn't leave the country for 3 days because there was no fuel to refuel the plane so we can leave. Naguib left us, and we just waited till the plane came. He had a private jet. Well, those are the luxuries of having your own jet. Any other questions? We'll take 2 more questions.
It's such an honor to speak to you. I had a question. How did you start? How did you choose how to kick off your career? So we're all a bit confused as young people how to start or to choose the field of our businesses if I want to start a business. Thank you.
To be honest, I grew up, so my dad was a businessman, so this was my background, environment I'm in. But even when I was young, I used to play marbles. So I used to win marbles and go and sell the marbles to the other kids and increase my monthly allowance, by doing that. So I think I had this trading flair in me from the beginning. So as a adjective, But as a sense too, when I was 16, I said I want to be the richest person in the whole world. So everybody asked me, why? You want to buy stuff? I said, no, because if I have a lot of money, I can do a lot of good with with this money. It's like power, so I can use it. So my dream was to go to East Germany and break down the wall between East Germany and West Germany, because I was in a German school. I visited both places, and the people in East Germany used to cry when we meet them, that they were like jailed within these walls. So me, I would get so angry. I said, okay, I'm going to be very rich and then hire a private army and break down this wall and stuff like that. So it was just, for me, a way to have the means to do good, not just to buy a nice car or to wear a nice suit, So I think to answer your question is, you have to see your qualities. Are you an artist, or you have a business sense? Are you good in trading, or are you good in programming? What are your strengths? Because also you can have all the dreams you want, but the best thing is to analyze what are you good at, and then build on that. So I felt all the time that I'm a good trader. I have this sense in me, and this was my way. But each one should find his way. Some people. I wouldn't have mind that any of my kids becomes a famous piano player, No, it doesn't mean. It just, you can be successful in anything. But I think the first thing is an analysis of your own character. What did God give you more than he gave others? And then you start from that,
I would also, just building on Naguib's idea, my advice to you would be to taste lots of things. So try different things when you're young. You can take those risks when you're young to see what it is that you're passionate about, what you like, what you don't like. Try different things and see. And don't stick to something if you feel it's not for you. Don't feel afraid to just say no and walk away. A lot of people get in a job or a career and then they're afraid to walk away from it because that's what their family wants them to do, or that's what they think they should do, but then they find themselves not into it, not passionate, not happy. And I think that's one of the things you should do, especially you guys if you're young. Taste different things and try different things, because when you get older, you should kind of have a little bit more of a rhythm. What do you think, Boss?
I agree.
Boss says he agrees. One more question, then we really have to cut it off because they're looking at me. There's like 10 questions back here. I'm not in charge of passing the mic. So
now we want a question from a guy.
Yeah, let's go. Let's get a question from a guy.
Good evening, Maha. Good evening, Engineer Naguib. My name is Osman. It's very delightful talking to you tonight. I was just wondering if Engineer Naguib or the other businessmen in this country would be interested in the future in sustainability. I mean, for the renewables. Why do not we see an initiative from the businessmen to spread the solar power in every single house in this country? We have, or we can guarantee the sun like 365 days in this country. So why don't we see a huge initiative from the businessmen to spread the solar power on every single house? And are we expecting Engineer Naguib investing in education more and more in this country, in Egypt? Thank you very much.
The first question is, I think Egypt built the biggest solar power plant in the world, in Aswan. And actually this contract was mine. I signed it first for 14 cents a kilowatt. Then the world crashed, the prices, and the prices went down completely. The minister called me and said, I have offers now for 4 cents and 3 cents. I can't execute this contract or I'll go to jail. But it's not like a contract, it's a contract, So I told them, don't worry, just here, take back the contract, give me my money back and my guarantees. And I gave them, and they built the solar plant for 4 cents, It's the biggest here in Egypt. But I think your initiative, so I believe I was the first, when I did this. But the problem is you have to deal always with the Ministry of Electricity, and you have to do buyback agreements, and you have to sell to the main grid, and then the grid will give. If things were like I can go to a small village and sell them my solar solution and get the money from them, it would be different, So I'm very excited to do anything which will benefit the common people the most. I will do that happily. On your second question, I'm investing already in education. So I actually I'm the one who sponsored the French University in Egypt, and I also sponsored Nile University in Egypt. With all the problems we faced in these two, I'm also a big investor in the EBG Fund for Education. That is in Egypt here with that's building modern schools now. So I can do more. You know, these are areas that are very compelling, and we need to look and do. Agora University, yes. I forgot. Yes, they have a booth here. Please have a look at them, because I'm a main sponsor also there. So I did this business university in the U.S., and it's mostly for Egyptians or Mediterranean, Middle Easterns, and we're building a good curriculum tailored with mixed with the culture of the Middle East. You know.
Unfortunately, we need to go because there has to be other sessions going on. This is the main stage. There's things going to start up. Everyone, please give a warm thank you to Naguib Sawiris.